Hello everyone. Today's lecture will be based on the topic written communication. Under written communication, we'll be discussing memorandum, notice, agenda of the meeting, and minutes of the meeting. That would mean that we'll be discussing as to how to write these four things. Let us continue. Let me first give you the insight to the topic written communication, which would mean the subtopics under the topic that we'll be discussing. Very first thing that we'll discuss is the introduction to written communication, wherein we'll be discussing what does written communication mean. And then we'll switch to merits and demerits of written communication, which would also mean advantages and disadvantages could also mean limitations of written communication. And then we'll move to discussing principles of communication, which will be a bit different from the 7 C's of communication that we've already discussed in the previous lectures. And then finally, we'll be moving to discussing the formats of memorandum, notices, agenda, and minutes of the meeting. Why is it essential here to discuss the formats? Because these all are formal means of communication. So primarily under written communication, we'll be discussing only the formal portion. We'll not be discussing the informal writing because there it does not need any kind of format or standards or rules. Because it is only the formal communication that would require all these things. Therefore, it becomes essential here to discuss the format of these because every kind of writing has a different format. If you do not stick to that format, then your writing will not be effective. Therefore, we'll be discussing how to write these four things: memorandum, which is also known as memo, notice, agenda, and minutes of the meeting. Let us see what is written communication. Now, written communication, as per the definition, is sharing of information, messages, orders, or instructions in writing through letters, notices, manuals, memorandums, emails, reports, etc. So, this is what is written communication. Whenever we need to discuss anything, communicate anything, we need to share some message or information. If we switch to writing the information and then pass it on to the receiving end, this then would mean a written communication. So it's a part of verbal communication wherein we are only sticking to the writing portion of it, that is reading and writing. So this is written communication. Whenever you're writing, it would mean that you're writing for somebody to read that message. Therefore, it is a category of verbal communication. And then it is a method of communication that is more formal and less flexible. This point is worth a discussion and, of course, a deliberation, because when I say that it is more formal and less flexible, it has a lot of depth and meaning to this. Why do we say that written messages are formal and are less flexible? We'll be discussing these 2 points in the slides that follow. Let me now discuss the merits of communication. That means the advantages of communication, written communication. Now, whenever we are discussing the merits or the demerits, you will have to always remember that these merits and demerits are against the oral communication, which would mean that every kind of thing that we discuss here, every point that we discuss here will be put against the oral communication. You can compare this point with the oral communication and then you will yourself find out that why is this particular form of communication, which is written communication, better as compared to the oral, and then why is it not as good as the oral communication. That also we'll be discussing when we discuss the demerits or the limitations. So let us continue with the merits first. It is suitable for long distance communication and repetitive standing orders. What does this mean? This means that whenever you need to float information across long distance, you can do that using this written communication, because as far as the long distance communication is concerned, at times the carrier, the transmission channel may get disrupted, because of which the oral message, if we are transferring from one place to another, would not have the same quality. Therefore, for that kind of perspective, we can have written communication over the the oral communication. Also, we are saying that it is repetitive. For the repetitive standing orders, it is good, because if you have any orders that are repetitively given to you, then you need not write every time, or you need not speak every time the things related to it. You've written it once. That once written form of communication will serve multiple times, so you don't have to repeatedly do the same kind of work. Whenever you need to do a repetitive task, you can always switch to the written communication over the oral communication. And then it creates permanent record of evidence. It can be used for future references as well. Now, this is one of the main reasons why we need to at times strictly follow the written communication. See, it says that it serves as a permanent record. Now, for example, I do not give you notes of any of the topics of the syllabus, and I don't even write anything in the videos that I'm uploading. Suppose I'm just speaking, and only thing that you can see is my face, and the only thing that you can hear is the explanation to the topics. I'm not writing anything. So what will happen is that if I am not writing anything and I'm not recording anything, like the way I'm doing right now, in that case, if you wish to refer to the content of any of the topic, you will not be able to do that, because you don't have any evidence of it. You don't have any record of it. Therefore, it is said that for future reference, oral communication will never help you. But if you are if you're sticking to written communication, then that serves as a permanent record of evidence. It gives the receiver some sufficient time to think, act, and react. Why is this point here? Because when it comes to the oral communication, we have a spontaneous feedback. That is a plus there. When it comes to written communication, we say that the receiver has sufficient time to act, think, and react, because there the spontaneous feedback is received by the sender. For the sender, it is beneficial to adopt to the oral communication, because the sender wants to have a feedback as to how the person is communicating, whether the message that the person wishes to send or has already sent, has it been well received or not. But then with the receive from if you see from the receiver's point of view, the oral communication, even if the receiver does not want to give you a feedback there and then, he or she is compelled to do that, because you eye to eye, right? When it comes to the written message, once you're writing something, the receiver receives it, and then he or she has a time to think about the information that the person has received, act accordingly, and react accordingly. Therefore, it is beneficial over the oral communication with the receiver's perspective, if you look at. And then it can easily serve as the legal document. If I'm writing something to you, and suppose today we are having amicable terms, and tomorrow something happens and we do not share any good relation, in that case, suppose you move to the court relating to something, if you have a certain message from my side which I had given to you in written, it will act as a legal document that can save you, uh, because you have that in written. Therefore, it can also act as a legal document. It can be sent to many people at a time. Now, this is a very controversial kind of a topic, of a point, because oral communication also may have the same kind of advantage when it comes to the public platforms like radios, etc. There also we may reach out to many people at a time, but then once we are only sticking to the formal communication, then the oral communication, of course, will not do. So, or for when it comes to the formal communication, written communication has this merit over the others, that it can be simultaneously sent to a lot of people. You need to only write one message and can be given to a number of people. It is suitable for sending statistical data, chart diagram, and pictures, etc. Why is this point important here? Because whenever we are listening to things, or whenever we are writing things, or whenever we are seeing things, now these are three different components of communication. Now, whenever we have some analytical data represented in such a way, using charts or diagrams or pie charts, etc., it becomes better, because it attracts more attention. So whenever, and of course it is self-explanatory as well. So if I give you a certain statistical data, uh, in written, writing the figures in the statements, you would not retain it, one, and you would not maybe perhaps very well understand it also. The moment I give it to you in maybe using some chart or bar diagrams, bar graphs, or the pie charts, it will be easier for you to interpret the information, analyze the information, and then understand the things and execute whatever has to be done. Therefore, the pictorial formation here is something that adds to the merits of written communication. Order, allocation of work, job distribution, all such kind of things in written form reduce ambiguity and help in fixation. Suppose I tell there are suppose 60 people in a class. If I tell somebody to do this and the other person to do that, now it may be, and if I'm doing this particular exercise with all the sections that I'm teaching, in that case, maybe because it is only an oral communication that I'm making, end of the day I might forget as to which section had I told to do what. Therefore, it is important that whenever I am giving orders, whenever I'm allocating some work that is to be done, or whenever I'm giving a job distribution that this particular thing will be done by this, it is always better to go with the written communication because it reduces the confusion and ambiguity. Uniformity in work procedure can be maintained through written communication. Of course, this is something that is always sought after. Whenever you're in an official or a business setup, people would want you to have a lot of uniformity in your work, and this will only be possible if you're writing things and giving orders in written and writing things whatever you've done and how you're executing it, so it becomes a procedure of its own. Therefore, written communication again is preferred over the oral communication for this very purpose. It is easy to send unpleasant or bad news through written communication because again the sender here has the time to think, act and react. If you directly give some bad news or unpleasant news to somebody over the phone or eye to eye in using the oral means, it will be difficult for you to send it. Also, it could be a shock to the receiver as well because it is very sudden. The moment you're writing it, you can frame your words, put in emotions in a controlled way, and then when it reaches the sender also will take it with the way you're writing. If you're writing it in a very controlled kind of a gesticulation, in that case the person on whosoever is reading that unpleasant news will also be stable and balanced after receiving it. And then a good written communication can create goodwill and promote business. There is nothing to explain in this point because if you are writing, if you have good writing skills, only then will you be able to fetch business for yourself and promote whatever you have already. Because if you know the things well and if you're not able to communicate to the other party that this is what you know, it will be difficult for you to grab that particular business from that party. On the contrary, if you are good at writing, it will be easier for you to express what you have. Ultimate motive of making this communication is to express yourself, and if you're good at expressing using words, nothing better than that. Now we shall discuss the demerits, limitations or disadvantages of written communication again over the oral communication. It is time consuming because you would need a lot of time to think and write the message. Composing a message in writing takes a lot of time. Writing letters, typing orders, notices, etc., and sending it appropriate to the appropriate destination requires time. And feedback process also is not very instant, which of course happens to be a merit in the oral communication, that you can always have a very spontaneous and instantaneous feedback. It is expensive, not not in a way that you would have to invest a lot of money into formation of the message and then floating it across. No, it is expensive because it takes a lot of time. In terms of time, it is very expensive because people will have to invest a lot of time in it, and if your writing skills are not good, if you do not follow the economy of words, if you're writing too many words for a simple thing, then it will be a wastage of your time as well as the wastage of the other person. Therefore, in that sense, it is expensive. It cannot maintain strict secrecy. Once you've written a secret, then that particular written piece of paper, only till the time it remains with the person you want it to be with, it will be a secret. The moment that person either mistakenly loses it or deliberately gives it to somebody else, that secret is no more a secret. Therefore, it cannot maintain a strict secrecy, which would be possible in oral, of course. Written communication has no scope for immediate clarification. If I have given you a certain information, you only have written communication means, then you will also write it and give it to me, and depending upon your will and wish as to when do you wish to write a response, and depending upon the transmission channel that you're choosing, it will take a lot of time to reach to the sender that information. Therefore, it is said that immediate clarification of a certain thing cannot be received when we are choosing the written communication over the oral communication. Also, being written in nature, it is less flexible and cannot be changed easily. This is why we were saying that it is less flexible. Once you have written something, it becomes difficult for you to change it. While you're writing, if you're using a laptop or a desktop or any of the gadgets, of course you can erase the data and then rewrite it, but once you have written and communicated, then it becomes difficult for you. It is rather impossible to omit that information from there and change it. Therefore, it is said that it is more formal and less flexible. Then we'll be discussing the principles of communication. Now, unlike the 7 C's of communication, we have approximately 10 principles to communication. You can have n number of communication principles to communication, written communication. These are the ones that have to be always kept in mind, though you can add or delete any. But these are 10 kind of important principles. So brevity means conciseness. We've copied this from the 7 C's. Brevity means conciseness. You don't have to put in a lot of words, because as we've discussed already, that it is expensive in terms of time. So if you put in a lot of words, it'll be a wastage of your time. Also, if the receiver sees that okay, it's a big document, he or she might ignore the importance of it and keep it aside, because he or she has some more work to be done, which is according to him more important. Because seeing your document, he would have felt that it is big, it'll take a lot of time, let me first do away with a set of work and then maybe I switch to this. Therefore, it is desired that whatever you're writing has to be brief. From brief has come the word brevity. Clarity is second thing that you need to stick to. You do not have to be ambiguous in things. Whatever you're writing, because you are now restricting the words that you're using, you keeping it brief. Therefore, clarity is something that is always desired. You need to give a message that is clear. No ambiguity or confusion in the mind of the reader has to be there when the reader reads whatever you've written. Communication. See, why communication here? Because the social purpose of communication is to inform or misinform or influence. So if you're doing it pretty well using the written means, you will be able to meet each of these purposes. Purposes again, to inform, to misinform and influence. So all these purposes, you can only be mapping with these purposes provided you're good at writing. Emphasis, you can emphasize upon the things. While speaking, of course, I can stress on a certain portion of the word or word itself, the entire word itself. But then while I'm writing, how do I emphasize? You need to understand that what are the strongest ways in which you will be more influential. Putting the strongest words in the most important places is something that you need to understand. Usually we consider, and this is through the research that has been done, usually the scientists and the researchers, they found that the last word of any statement that you're writing has the most important place, emphasizes the most. Therefore, you if you have to emphasize upon something, make sure you write it in a way that that important thing falls as either as the last part of the clause or as the last word of that clause, and then you'll be able to emphasize more. Honesty is something that is desired. Be original in your form. You don't have to copy data from somewhere and put it as yours. You'll be caught under plagiarism. So honesty is something that you need to stick to. You need to stick while writing it. Any communication, it has to be your own. You can't copy somebody's work and write it as yours. And if at all you're doing it, one, you need to paraphrase it, you need to put it in your words. Second, you need to cite it. Cite it would mean that from wherever you have taken that information, you need to provide the source that this information has been received from this particular source. So you need to be honest. Passion and control. Yes, reading can be passionate, of course, while we are reading the poems which are aggressive or which are pertaining to the patriotism or pertaining to romance. We see a lot of passion. And why is this passion visible and is easily felt in some of the compositions and is hardly felt in the others? Because of the use of words. So whatever passion that you have for the topic that you're writing on, you need to choose words in a way that express your passion in a controlled way. You're passionate about something, you just don't have to write the most aggressive kind of words or most mapping kind of words against it. While you're writing it, you need to be in full control of your writing, and then only your writing will be called as an effective writing. Of course, reading is important. Once you're written the things, proofread is something that is always advised. You need to go through the work to so read, and that will go for revision as well. So reading is, you need to read a lot of things to write a certain composition, and revision is proofreading. So while you're writing it, you need to first collect the data. How will you collect the data? By reading multiple things. You will collect the data, write it, and then do a revision, which would mean then proofread. Proofread means check for the mistakes, grammatical errors, punctuation errors, and the spelling mistakes, and then you need to give a go through to it. Sophistication and simplicities is something that is desired. Again, you need to remember that communication is to express and not to impress. So you need to be very sophisticated in your approach, not at all flashy and not at all immature. And then simplicity is something that is required. Simplicity here would mean, do not use any technical words, do not use jargons, do not use some hi-fi kind of vocabulary. Stick to the basics, stick to the simple words, so that the reader knows what you've written. The reader does not have to go through the dictionary to find out the meaning of the words that you've written in your document. Also, the sound and rhythm. You need to be regular in the rhythm, in the way you're writing. Those awkward pauses that you're giving while you're writing, which would mean that one sentence pertaining to the topic, next sentence has strayed somewhere else, deviated absolutely, then coming back to the topic, is something that is not desired. So rhythm here would mean following a regular pattern. That is, every sentence that you're writing in the document has to point out to the topic itself. So these are the 10 principles of communication. This will be the end of this lecture. In the lecture or the lectures to follow, we'll be discussing the formats of memorandum, notice, agenda of the meeting, and minutes of the meeting. Thank you so much. Hope you have understood the basics of written communication well, and you're all prepared for learning the format and the rules for writing the topics that we've discussed, that is memorandum, notice, agenda, and minutes of the meeting. Thank you so much. Have a good week ahead.